what we dealing with right now with this pandemic and everybody's uncomfortable and all of that, we can still overcome.
All right, Kevin, I'm about to get the video started.
Perfect.
I'm just wondering, how did you get the whole YouTube studio look like up for? Because I'm just seeing the whole because like, have you ever seen YouTube Studio before? Normally has like, how many people viewed it, or it just looks like that to me for some reason. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just
Right,
saying.
Kevin, I'm about to get the video started.
Perfect.
I'm just wondering, how did you get the whole YouTube Studio look like up for? Because I'm just seeing the whole
Is that
like,
feedback?
No, it's because I'm streaming and I'm trying to figure out how to not have it you guys hear it ever.
Okay.
All right, you guys, we're about to get started with the video.
You'll never start, but more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it was easy, there'd be no Kerry Washington. If it was easy, there'd be no Taraji Henson, Pete Henson. If it were easy, there'd be no Octavia Spencer. But not only that, if it were easy, there'd be no Viola Davis. If it were easy, there'd be no Michael T. Williamson, no Stephen McKinley Henderson, no Russell Hornsby. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. So keep moving, keep growing, keep learning. See you at work.
We tend to base our self-esteem on what other people think. And that's not really self-esteem. Self-esteem is supposed to be how we feel about ourselves. And I was just saying how dangerous it is to allow other people to determine how you're going to feel about you. And it's kind of like looking into a broken mirror. You're going to look in a broken mirror and then change your face to try to look good in this defiled, busted, broken mirror. And it just, other people's opinions is a really shitty way to determine how we feel about ourselves.
You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I'll say it again. You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. Now, I've been blessed to make hundreds of millions of dollars in my life. I can't take it with me, and neither can you. So it's not how much you have, it's what you do with what you have. And we all have different gifts. Some money, some love, some patience, some the ability to touch people. But we all have it. Use it, share it. That's what counts. Not what you're driving, not what you're flying in, not what kind of house you bought your mama. Dreams without goals are just dreams. And they ultimately fuel disappointment. Goals on the road to achievement cannot be achieved without discipline and consistency. I pray that you all put your shoes way under the bed that night so that you got to get on your knees in the morning.
The one thing I'm the most happy about in terms of my career is the fact that I got there with the grace of God, first of all, but short of that, I got there just by working hard, not partying with the right people, not compromising myself in any way or cutting any kind of deals, just by working hard, just by plugging along, sawing wood, as I like to call it. I'm a 20-year overnight sensation. I don't get life mixed up with making a living. I was there for all 4 of my children being born. When the first one was born, I recognized the difference between life and making a living. Their life, you know, our family's life, you know, acting is making a living.
What do you think the biggest difference between doing a play and doing, I mean, it's a cliched question, but I'd be interested to know your answer.
I think a part of what Viola just said is that you get to dig deeper and you get another day.
Right.
And you get the energy. You do a movie and it's 200 people that are used to it and they don't care and everybody's doing their job and it comes in a theater somewhere and you're picking your nose at home somewhere, clipping your nails. There's no energy.
Right.
When I was on Broadway 5 years ago with Julius Caesar, I made a decision to sign autographs every night. I don't know what I did. Yeah, it ain't happening this time. No. Only as I rub my knees, only because my knees are bad, it's hard for me to stand. But.
And why did you decide to do that?
Well, you know, I wanted to say thank you. It was my way of saying thank you. And the first night, it was like 5,000 people out there. I said, okay, wait a minute. Everybody who has playbills from our show. So, yeah, because it was like people were just wandering up the block. I was like, wait a minute. I forgot I'm on, 42nd Street, Times Square. I was like, wait a minute. But honestly,
you were signing for weeks.
The energy, and I was out there an hour and a half every night, every show. But the energy you got back, the stories, the 5 little old ladies who just drove in from Detroit. And I'm like, well, what y'all doing tonight? They said, we're getting back in the car, baby. We got to go back tonight. And, a little 84-year-old lady was like, baby, if I was 3 years younger. Oh, true story. True story. Then we had, and I say this also because I hope it happens with this play. We had some high schools come. We had one school from somewhere, I forgot.
Your business idea needs a website? So go to Wix.com. I know what you're thinking, another Wix ad.
And they were doing Julius Caesar, and some young kid was like, well, my Brutus is a bit different. He's more the classic stoic, but it was great to engage and exchange with these young people. There was an energy. I got more from it than I gave to the people that I signed for. That's you don't get that. The odd thing about success in film is the budgets get bigger, you make more money, but they become more formulaic. Yes. So you don't get the opportunity. So God willing, if I stay around long enough, this is what I'm going to be doing. You're always affected by opinion, but the more opinions there are of you, of me, the less I look at them, because I just can't live my life based upon what other people think about me. So I can't concern myself too much with what other people think. It's just not healthy. I don't think I could continue to do what I do if I was constantly worrying about what somebody thought about it. And anything you want good, you can have. So claim it. Work hard to get it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up. Each one, teach one. Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference. You don't have to compromise yourself. If there's something you don't feel good about, then don't do it. The most important choices I've made was to say no. And I've said no many a time to films that I just didn't, especially early on, I just didn't feel comfortable with. There was one script that was brought to me, I called it The They Couldn't Kill. Because they were like, he was accused of raping this white woman in the 40s, and they tried to hang him, but he didn't die. And they tried to electrocute him, and they were like, it's a comedy. I'm like, it ain't funny to me. So I actually called Sidney Poitier, who I was fortunate at that time to be able to call. And I said, this movie I'm sick. And they offered me $600,000 to play The They Couldn't Kill. That's what I called it. I wouldn't pay. And he said to me, and I'll say this to you, he said, the first 2 or 3 or 4 films you make in this industry, Denzel, will determine how you proceed. He said, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but remember that the first 3 or 4 or 5 films you made will determine how you proceed. I turned it down. I turned the money down. I needed the money. I turned it down. 6 months later, I got car free. So stick to your guns. If you don't feel like you should do it, then don't do it. Because you don't want to be, you don't want to be a negative energy on the set. That's how I feel. So I'm like, I ain't doing this because I'm gonna slap somebody the second day. So I just, it's something. I think the most important decisions you can make as an actor, actress, is saying no. Is saying no. You don't have to take your clothes off if you don't want to. Then don't do it.
Number one, put God first. Put God first in everything you do. Everything that you think you see in me, everything that I've accomplished, everything that you think I have, and I have a few things, everything that I have is by the grace of God. Understand that. It's a gift. In everything you do, if you think you want to do what you think I've done, then do what I've done.
All right, you guys, we are actually about to go into a breakout regarding the video that we just saw. So, Monique, are you there?
I am here. I just forgot we don't have a long anymore. Hold on. Jonathan, are you able to do a breakout?
What's going on, Mr. Webb?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna push out to 4.
I'm sleeping on it.
Another beautiful day. Thanks for having me on, Carl.
Hey, Mr. Webb. Okay,
Hey,
I'm gonna
Monique.
push out to 4. Hold on, guys. And then I'll get the coaches assigned to a room. So Richard, you're gonna go to a room too, okay? Is that all right?
My mom's the only one who can send me to the room now. I'm on the
All right, hold on.
Devon trying to get us all dizzy.
All right, I'm pushing y'all out. So everyone should see a notification to join a room. And there should be a coach in each of those rooms. Okay, so I still have Jalen, Judge, Kavatre. You guys are supposed to be going out to your room, so you need to push your, Judge and Mayana. You need to push your join button. Mayana, are you still here? Okay, Corey, I'm gonna put you in a breakout session, okay? Corey? Mayana, are you there? Mayana, are you trying to unmute you, but you're not? Jasmine, are you still in this room with me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna push you out to, or did you get a notification to join the breakout room?
No.
Okay, it should have popped up on your, are you on your phone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna push you to a different breakout and see if there's a pop-up that comes up.
Okay.
Okay, so I just did it, so let me know if there's a pop-up that pops up. Because it's not letting, I can only send you the notification. I can't push you into a room without.
I didn't get it.
Okay, let me see if I can. Okay, did you see the video just a second ago?
For me?
Yeah. Or hear the video, I guess, for you. Because you're on your...
It was kind of skipping.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's not gonna let me push you out. I don't know how, I can't, it won't let me push you out. So you'll just have to stay here with me. And I'm trying to work with Nels real quick. So on the last call, did you type in clock out, Jasmine? Were you able to type that in?
No, should I do it now?
Are you able to see the chat window? I'll just put your
go
name
to the
down
three
on,
dots.
I'll just put your name down on the sheet.
Okay.
You have stamps.
Jordan Belfort. Oh, I'm not on mute.
All right.
We got everybody back?
Yes, I was in the wrong room. I thought so.
Sneaking in our room.
Monique put me in.
I have to manually move you guys, and I have to scroll through the list of all the participants to do it. So I missed it.
We got two people.
I pushed both of you into the same room.
We got two people that was in my room that said they can't hear. Anik Clark and then Corey.
They're having difficulties?
Yeah.
Turn the volume up.
They weren't able to do what, Kevin? Sorry.
They weren't hearing us. At one point, Anik was hearing us fine, and then all of a sudden she couldn't hear anymore.
Okay. Can you hear yet, Anik?
Sometimes if they just go out and come right back in, I'll let them back in.
Okay.
That helps, just if they're having poor quality, audio quality. We're all back, Carl. There's a couple that are coming back in. We'll get them back in.
All right, as everybody's coming back in, we're going to go ahead and introduce Mr. Richard Webb to everyone. Richard is the CEO of 100 Black Men. I've known Richard for years. He's an awesome young man doing things in the community, has overcome a lot in his life. So we're going to let him talk with you guys a little bit about his life, how he got to where he is, and just going forward. You ready, Richard?
I'm ready. Thank you for having me.
Hold on. Richard, before you start, I'm sorry, just a second. For all of you who are just coming back in, please make sure you put your first and last name in and your school if you can, so that we can make sure that we take the proper attendance. And then we'll go from there. And Richard, I just wanted to make sure we added to the introduction that you were that light-skinned guy.
Oh yeah, Jason Howard said, yeah, the light-skinned guy.
Well, I ain't been getting too much sun, so I'm lightening up even more right now, but we'll talk about that later on, Monique.
He knew you from coming in the Huskerland popcorn, but I mean, bottom line is he knew you, so that's all that mattered.
Well, I'll tell you what, we adding schools. I might as well. I wish I had my hat that I had on yesterday. Omaha Northwest, proud alumni. So
we're sorry.
Omaha, let's get it started off right. But first of all, I want to thank every one of you all. It's Jamal's son. Hello, Jalen. Nice seeing you. Sorry, put it in the chat. But first of all, I just wanted to thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to talk to all of the youth that are involved on this call today. Thank you for all of the team at Empowerment Network, giving the opportunity for the Step Up program for each and every one of you all, not to just earn some money during this time, but also have the opportunity to learn, to ask questions, to engage, and to build your networks. That's always key as you're growing. What I'll do is I'll spend a little bit of time talking about myself, my upbringing, talk a little bit about the 100, talk a little bit about the obstacles that I've been able to overcome, and then I'll take some questions. One thing I do want is if you do have any questions, I remember when I was in high school, I would have to wait until the end of the presentation, then I will forget the question that I had, put it in the chat, and I have that open. So therefore, as we're going through, you don't have to wait 30 minutes to ask a question and forget that question. So I don't want it to be so much of a formal thing. So if there's some questions that you may have, put it in there, and then we'll make sure we address it. And a couple people are saying, Monique and Carl, that their sound is messing up. Do you want me to prolong it or do you want me to keep going? I see Corey and Sydney.
We're trying to troubleshoot it on the side. I have the windows open too. So you can keep going and we'll try to troubleshoot it for them.
Okay. Well, I'll just start off telling you a little bit about myself. I am born, raised here in Omaha, Nebraska. I am a father of 4. I have 3 beautiful daughters and a son. Been married now for just celebrated my 7th year being married to my wife, Dr. Webb. She was a principal or assistant principal for Omaha Public Schools. And I'm a man of God. More than anything, any obstacle that I've ever been able to overcome, I believe has been God that has allowed me to get through those obstacles and putting different things in my way. So I know a lot of what Carl asked me to talk about is obstacles that, I've been able to have the opportunity to overcome with the help And I'll just start off, growing up here, I grew up 3315 North 40th Ave. So if anyone that may not know where that is, it's right off of 40th and Bedford. And if you don't know where 40th and Bedford is, it's 42nd and Bedford has historically been known as the worst intersection when it comes to gangs, drugs, violence, and homicides and shootings and things of that nature. And it's been that way for 20, 30 years. So I grew up 3315 North 40th Ave, grew up with only my mom and my sister and myself, living on the Ave. And, you know, they always talk about the light skin joke, but growing up, it was always challenging, you know, fitting in. Growing up on the Ave is almost what I'm sure most of you have to go through, a lot of peer pressure to do things that are not always right? Found myself getting into a lot of fights, found myself being a knucklehead. I went to King Primary Elementary School prior to getting kicked out of there for doing too much fighting. And my dad came into my life when I was in the 3rd grade. And I moved with him, and the first day he came to my life, I got a whooping because that was the day I got kicked out of King Primary Elementary School. But when he came into my life really changed because I'm not going to say I wasn't in a very much of a stable environment. My mom didn't have a positive male role model in my life at that time. And when I got to my dad was married. He had a stable household. He took me over off of 43rd and Mayberry, so right off of Leavenworth Street. And it was just a different environment that I was in whenever I started moving with him. And I started going back and forth to my mom's a lot because I, of course, wanted to see her. But that environment was, you know, very beneficial for allowing me to get away from some of the peer pressure and things that I had been challenged with living on 40th Ave. So just in the time's sake, I'll speed it up just a little bit. From going there, I still didn't change all of my mindset. So my mindset was still on trying to be a class clown, trying to make people laugh, trying to make sure I get popularity in school. To whereas when I went to Nathan Hale in the 7th grade, I moved back to my mom's house because I got a little bit more relaxation over there. My dad was more of a, you gonna be constructive or you gonna be destructive. And when over there, I had to do chores. I had to listen right away. I had to, you know, work during the day if I wasn't in school, yard work and all that. Where my mom's house, I could essentially just chill with my friends and all of that. So of course, as a kid, me not understanding the value of structure, I went over to my mom's house and stayed there and found myself getting into more trouble at Nathan Hale Middle School. And then Miss Barbara Dorsey, my counselor there, gave me an opportunity. She was like the grandmother in the schools. And I'm sure you guys may know people that are in your schools, that are in your circle, that may not be related to you, but they take a liking to you, to whereas they want to make sure that you are on the best path. And that could be coaches from the Empowerment Network. That could be Carl. That could be Monique. That could be Jonathan. That could be Mike, whoever else is on this call. But those individuals who, when they see you do something bad, they talk to you, they check you, right? And Miss Dorsey was one of those women for me as a counselor at Nathan Hale, to whereas she would be the one that if I was running through the hall doing something stupid, she would grab me by my ear and, you know, pull me aside. And, you know, as a grandmother, you could not, you know, pull to the side with her. But then she would also be the one, whenever I was walking through the hall doing what I was supposed to do, she would give me some candy. And, you know, she'd say, shh, don't tell nobody, you know, things like that. So she got me engaged in the 8th grade with the African American History Challenge with the 100 Black Men of Omaha, not knowing that all of these little different things growing up, you know, were going to mold me to be the individual that I am today, because we're all balls of clay as we continuously grow. So that got me engaged with the African American History Challenge with the 100 Black Men of Omaha. And I'll tell you, I didn't like reading, but growing up 3315 North 40th Ave, I had never traveled before on a plane. And it was an opportunity to not only win money, but it was an opportunity to travel on a plane to Atlanta and represent the 100 Black Men of Omaha. So that's the only reason I wanted to do it. So I got engaged there, and then speed up just a little bit more in high school. I went to the greatest high school in Omaha, just in case nobody knew, Omaha Northwest. And when I was there, I played basketball. So I wasn't too much engaged with the 100 Black Men of Omaha at all. But I played basketball there. And then I had to go to Westside for a year and a half because I got in some trouble at Northwest. Then I came back to Northwest and graduated. Now, all these times, I'm still having a knuckleheaded mindset. So I'm still, you know, I'm not as troubled of a child as I could have been, but I was still doing dumb stuff under peer pressure. And Carl told me I can be very real with you guys. So I found myself getting in some trouble recently after I graduated because I started hanging with the wrong people, my environment started putting me around people that, you know, had me doing things that were illegal, holding things that were illegal. And at the age of 18 or 19, I got caught with a stolen firearm. So with a stolen firearm, here I am with a charge with a felony on my record, dropped down to a misdemeanor. After, you know, went through litigation, I didn't have too much things on my record, so they dropped it down to a misdemeanor, but it was always charged with a felony. And I really didn't understand the concept of that until after I graduated at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. And the reason why I had these situations going on, which is another obstacle that I put in front of me by doing that, because I'm thinking that, you know, I'm level-headed and I'm thinking that I'm not going to get caught and I can do these things and all of these different things. I'm trying to play both sides of the fence. And once again, it was obstacles that I was putting in front of myself. So after I got caught with that, it kind of straightened me out, because at that time I had my son too, which is, my son's now 13, but I had my son at that time. So I had to realize, like, you know what, Richard, you got to start doing the right thing. You can't act like you're doing the right thing, go to work, and, you know, when nobody's looking, you try to go do something that you ain't supposed to do. You got to do the right thing. So through growth, I got back to University of Nebraska at Omaha and got the Buffett Scholarship, graduated from there. Now, here's where all the opportunities, or not opportunities, but obstacles really started. So I graduated from the University of Nebraska at Omaha in 2011. Now, all of these things that I had done as a young man had added up to where I'm at now. I graduated 2011 with a 4.3 GPA, sorry, 3.8 GPA from the University of Nebraska at Omaha. So they're known for business. That was my major. So here I am, I'm coming out of college thinking I'm about to own the world. I'm about to make money. I'm gonna take care of my family. I'm gonna be the best thing since sliced bread. Right after I come out of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, I'm trying to find a job. Right away, I get a couple of interviews. I go in, I knock the interviews out the park. What happened? They did the background check. This is where the obstacle comes in. I'm sitting up here, I get calls after calls. We love the interview. We love your competitiveness. We love you play collegiate athletics and play basketball. We love your spirit. We love your momentum and your ability to just come in and want to take over and things of that nature. But when we found out you did your record, we cannot hire you. So here I am at this time, who's currently my wife, but my girlfriend at the time. I have a son, a daughter, and my wife has 2 daughters. I'm graduated. And remember, my head was on fire coming out of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, thinking I'm going to take over the world. And I kept getting all these obstacles of people telling me I could not get a job because of a mistake that I had made, not knowing how big that is in our world. So my wife now, who was my girlfriend at the time, was a teacher, and I got to start paying back student loans. We're living together. We got to pay bills. I can't bring in no money. So at this time, I've always been trying to be a go-getter. So I'm going out here now, bought a cheap U-Haul truck, and I'm trying to start a moving business. I'm doing anything I can because, you know, be very transparent. As a man, I couldn't feel that I was holding my end of the bargain, right? And for the young men on this call, you will feel that one day, or you might feel that one day, and understand, don't let that obstacle stop you from continuing to progress forward, right? Because we're all going to go through obstacles, but this was weighing heavy on my heart because my girlfriend, which is now my wife at the time, was a teacher. So she wasn't making the most money, and she's having to take care now of a 24-year-old man and the blended family of 2 children that are not hers and 2 children that are her biological children at that time together. So it just really weighed down a lot on me. But through friendships and through relationships, and relationships are key, but through relationships, I was able to get a front desk job. And this was after a year at a hotel, Hotel Deco. Some of you may know Christopher Kuhn, that plays basketball, and his wife, Ashley Kuhn. They owned Hotel Deco downtown. So here I am, like I said, I had a ball of fire, having to humble myself and make $7.50 an hour. $7.50 an hour in 2012 to be a front desk receptionist, just so I could bring in some type of legal money for my family. When I got in the door there, I just always determined, you know what, I'm going to take advantage of any opportunity I get, and I'm going to try to be the best that I can be no matter what I'm doing. And so when you're looking at obstacles, that's what you always come into, understanding that there's an obstacle that's always going to be put in front of you, but make sure you give it your all so that you can take over that opportunity and continue to elevate on that foundation that you're creating. So from there, I got engaged with the director of sales at the Hotel Deco. In 2 months, I had been, elevated to a salesperson there. And in that time, I was making $25,000 a year. So at the same time, that's not a lot compared to, what we have at home with a girlfriend and 4 children that we're trying to support. But like I said, I'm still going to take advantage of the opportunity, build some relationships there, got transferred over to Sheraton, which is another hotel off of 108th, doubled my salary there. I loved it there. 2 years later, because I had the same work mindset, went over to Hotel Deco. I went over to Caesars Entertainment. And that was in the Harris Horseshoe in the Mid-America Center in Council Bluffs. All of these different things were stepping stones that I would have had to look at getting through with the ability to help everybody else that's going to help me. So from when I got to Caesars Entertainment, the Mid-America Center, I never thought I was going to leave there. At that time, I worked 4 days a week. I made great living. I got time to do fishing and all of those different things. But I served in the community that has helped me so much. So right when I graduated the University of Nebraska at Omaha, I came back to the 100 Black Men of Omaha and started mentoring while I was working at all of those different places, because I said, you know what? I love engaging with young kids. I want to make sure that they stay motivated and understand that, there will be challenges that'll come up in your life that may try to knock you down. But as long as you stay consistent, you will get through them. And there's people here that can help you, because if you can do it by yourself, it just ain't big enough. It takes more than just yourself to do something legendary, to do something that's going to change our communities, it's going to change our generations, it's going to build on for the next generation to elevate up. So all during that time, I engaged with the 100 Black Men of Omaha. And then in 2017, while being president-elect of this board, I got a phone call that said, hey, Richard, what would you think of putting your name in a hat for the 100 Black Men of Omaha? And I said, no, I'm good. I know nonprofit, they don't pay too good. I want to be where I'm at with Caesars, making a lot of money. But I said, you know what, let me not close the door on opportunity. I said, let me go talk to my wife and let me, pray about the situation. Because like I said, I'm a God-fearing man. I went and prayed about the situation. And my wife said something that was very beneficial to me. She said, where I see your joy, where I see your bucket being filled is whenever you're engaging with your mentee, with the 100 Black Men. And I said, you know what, you're right, because I'm a big kid at heart, right? So then I went back and I said, I'm gonna put my name in the hat and just trust God that, whatever needs to be done is gonna be done on my side. And that's what really got me engaged with the 100 Black Men of Omaha. And when I got engaged here, another reason I did is because of each one of you all in this community, each one of the youth in our community. A lot of people, a lot of organizations refer to you all as at risk or marginalized or undervalued or underserved. And because I'm a God-fearing man, I never liked using negative terminology. We might not think it's negative terminology for adults, but some of our youth feel that we're talking to them negatively, right? So we use youth with promise. So I wanted to sow positive seeds into our youth to understand that you have everything it takes to be successful. You have everything it takes to overcome obstacles. You have all the resources you need if you just ask. We're here to assist you. Especially in Omaha, we have a lot of different organizations that are here to help you. So that's really why I got engaged with the 100 Black Men of Omaha. And if you guys don't know what the 100 Black Men of Omaha is, we're a mentoring organization. We typically just help for young men, 6th grade through high school. And we believe in mentoring across a lifetime. So we have some individuals who are out of high school that are still engaging in mentorship. And then on that plateau of coming onto the other side of being a mentor instead of just mentees now. So that's been a lifelong, goal that we continuously look at doing, mentoring across a lifetime. We're celebrating 25 years this year. So it's huge for me. I really get to serve in my passion. And then I know Carl wanted me to speak about real estate. So about 5 years ago, my wife and I noticed the problem, and I'm sure a lot of other people noticed the problem into real estate, that there's a lot of slumlords. And if you don't know what slumlords are, They're landlords who really just collect money and don't do anything to improve the living environments for the individuals living in their properties. And my wife and I said, you know what? We want to provide abundant living housing. And what we did is we said, you know what? This will protect us in the future, have another pillar to our retirement. But for right now, we want to start buying properties because as a kid, I love playing Monopoly. So I wanted to own as much as I could. And I know, you know, the biggest business sense is always equity. And if you don't know what equity is ownership, right? So it's something that you have. It's kind of like virtual money, if you want to say it like that. So if I had to explain it, if you have a house that's worth $200,000 and you own $100,000 of it, you owe $100,000 of it, you have $100,000 in equity. So at any time, you may be able to go pull out $75,000. So essentially, it's virtual money for you. So in the long term, that really will help us out. But for short term, we wanted to provide housing that individuals could live in, could grow in. So we called it abundant living based off of John 10:10. The devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I should give you life and life more abundantly. So now we have 6 houses right now that we own and we operate under Abundant Living LLC, and we do different things such as give money back in December to our tenants that have been great all year. Currently during the COVID crisis, because of course it's impacting all of us, what we do is we send out tenant emails and making sure that if any of our tenants need anything, just like with the 100 Black Men, we're dropping things off like toilet paper, tissue, soap, hand sanitizer, anything we can get our hands on to be able to assist our tenants that are living in our property so that we can make sure that they know, once again, that nobody can do it by themselves. And as a community, if we grow together, we will continuously grow and flourish. So that's a little bit about the rental properties. And then there's a couple other things. Hold on one second, pull up my notes. The last 3 things, or sorry, not the last 3 things, but the 3 ways that I always think that you should look at whenever you are looking at overcoming obstacles is simply 3 steps. One is to say yes. I mean, say yes is number 1, and that's don't be afraid to put your name in the hat, right? Understand that good champions don't become champions in the main event. They become champions in practice. So as we talked earlier about what that mold looks like, each one of you are clay and mold, use these opportunities during even these presentations to ask individuals who are there, how did you get there? If they're not explaining it thorough enough, ask a question so that you'll understand what you can take from these presentations to help you grow in whatever way you need to grow from, right? Understanding that everyone's fearful of what they're going to get into if they've never been there. But you also have to understand that God wouldn't give you a vision if he couldn't give you the reality to attain that vision. So every one of us, any adult on this phone call, has been fearful of a step that they have taken, whether it's you've been an entrepreneur. I think you guys heard from one of my good friends, Brandon Lewis, earlier, and he was fearful to take that step to leave corporate America, to be able to create his own business. But if you ask him now, he would never regret it. So don't let fear stop you from getting to success, because success is always on the other side of that obstacle. The people who are going to get to that success is the people who do not allow that obstacle to stop them from reaching it. Because I'm sure you've probably seen a picture before, but there's a picture of 2 people digging down in the dirt. And one person, they dig down just about the same amount, but one person stops and he was literally a couple of centimeters from getting to the goal. And that's how you always have to engage your mind. You always have to say, you know what, I'm gonna just keep on going until I hear a bell or I knock out the job or get to the goal I wanna get to. Don't stop because of fear. The second thing is make sure you always show up. On these calls, on these Zoom calls that they're doing, when you're engaging with individuals, make sure you're engaged in the phone call, in a Zoom call. Or if you're at the work site, whenever we start getting back to the normal or the new normal, hopefully, make sure you're showing up with a smile on your face, wherever you are. No matter the job. When I was in college, I had to be a custodian, a janitor, where I had to go into elementary schools and the kids in the second grade would smear poop all over the walls, right? I mean, I hated having to go in and do that, right? But at the end of the day, I had to go get a job done. It was an obstacle that I had to knock out if I wanted a job and a paycheck the next week, right? So we make sure you have to show up. So when you build that vision, you got to implement what those goals are to get to your reality. Remember, a goal is just a dream is just a dream until you actually write down steps, right? Then it becomes a goal. A goal is just a goal until you implement the steps that you've created. Then it becomes a reality. So when you implement it, it becomes a reality. So we have to understand when you're showing up, make sure you walk through those steps in your head. And while it's great to talk about the next steps, it takes your heart, your mouth, and your feet to reach your next steps. And then the last thing I believe that you do to get over obstacles is connect what you do with what you care about and serve. One thing I want everybody to always think about is think positively. Never think negatively. That is the beginning of your downfall. Everything is possible if you continuously keep your mind in a positive light. The second you think negative and you're not doing what you think is in your passion, you'll give up. But if you feel 100% passion to do what you chose to do, you'll reach it. You might face a barrier, you might take 3 steps back, but as long as you continuously think, I can do it, and think in a positive light, you'll always have the opportunity to progress forward. Is there any questions that you guys may have?
You guys can unmute yourselves if there's someone. Oh, okay, Anik just asked a question. What are some ways to not think negatively?
I think the biggest thing that you always do is remember why you're doing what you're doing, right? I mean, prime example right now, I'm the CEO of the 100 Black Men of Omaha, right? So if you think about the CEO of the 100 Black Men of Omaha, you are at the top of the chart and then the board is above you essentially, right? But I'm responsible for 5 paychecks. Right now, I'm responsible for 5 paychecks. So if I don't go out and get money, somehow, some way, even during these unique situations, there's 5 people underneath me who cannot provide for their family, right? So every day I have to get up and know that all of these things, like I don't know if you ever listened to Nipsey Hussle, but Nipsey Hussle said the crown, what is it? The head that the crown is on is always the heaviest, right? And you have to understand that a lot of things as CEOs and top level, it leans on your shoulders, right? So there's always an opportunity for a negative thought to kick in. But if you're sitting around letting that negative thought kick in and not doing anything, that's where the obstacle will stop you. So what I've always thought about is, listen, it's not just me that I have to depend on, right? And it's not just me that's going to get it done, right? Like some people would look at this opportunity to speak to some kids and think that, or some youth, so I didn't mean to say kids, but youth, and think that, okay, I'm not going to waste 45 minutes, an hour of my time while we're doing these things in an organization to try to better them, right? But you never know where you can get a vision from. And that's why you always have to show up to every opportunity that you have, right? Because one of you kids could ask, or one of you youth could ask a question that could nick something in my head and a positive thought that could be the game changer for all organizations. It could be the innovation that the Empowerment Network would need to continue this Step Up program all throughout. So you always have to think about that next second, something can happen and change in your life for the greater of everybody. And you could be the key to that lock. So the thought process is always positive, to never let negative thoughts intervene, because they always will. They always will. Negative thoughts will always intervene. But you have to understand that success is on the other side of that negative thought. Always keep it positive. I guarantee you, if you always stay positive, your life will continuously progress through. No matter what situation, you will always progress. And I think some more people ask, what would you do if things get stressful? Do you keep pushing or do you take a break? You know, that's double-sided, right? My wife is a 5-time breast cancer survivor. She's going through it the 5th time right now. And my old mindset was always never, never, ever take a break. You always progress forward and you always give it your always. Never take a break. But we also have to understand that you have to use your mind and know when it's time to take a break to refuel yourself. So it depends on what break you're asking for. So if it's taking a break because, you know, I just think I need 7 breaks a day, how does that align with your goals? How does that align with your timeline of being able to reach success? How does that align with the lifestyle that you want to create for yourself, right? But if you know you've worked, you know, 17 days straight on something, sometimes it does take a break and some pampering for yourself to allow you to get back to 100% so you can do the things that you need to do to be successful. So you always push, you give it 100% when you're active, but then you also give it 100% to rehydrate your thoughts, your mind, your body, and all of those different things. Just make sure that break doesn't last forever. It's kind of like, you know, some individuals say, I'm going to take a break from college and I'm going to go back. Well, 73% of those individuals never go back and finish their college degree. So just make sure that break won't cost more than the positivity that comes from that break, if that makes sense.
Hey, Rich.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we got everybody. Jada, she said, was it hard to start in real estate? That's something that she wants to do as a career.
It's not hard to start at real estate. It's actually very easy if you understand it. Knowledge is so much power, right? So I'll tell you, I love playing Monopoly as a young man. And that's really where my real estate mindset came in, trying to own as much as I can own. And when I first started real estate, I'm like, okay, I got to save up. You know, it was kind of like and I'm gonna say a poor man's mentality, but just a mentality of never having. I never had owned a property before. My mama never owned a property. My dad never owned a property before as a young man. So I never had that owner's mentality. So when I came in, I thought like, I was 20. So 2015, I purchased my first property. So I would have been around 26, 27 when I purchased my first property. And so I ended up getting to a podcast. It was called biggerpockets.com. And any of you on this phone call, if you are interested in real estate, it's a lot of free knowledge. It's called biggerpockets.com. And it teaches you how to leverage other people's money to make your money. What it was instead of trying to save up $40,000 or $50,000 to buy a house cash, use other people's money. If you have a line of credit, you can use other people's money to buy a piece of the property. So I'll give you a prime example into my first property. My first property I bought, it was $32,500. It was literally right time, right place, a real estate agent that was retiring and wanting to liquidate all of her properties. I bought it for $32,500. I had a $10,000 line of credit based on my wife's vehicle at that time that we had paid off in a small amount of money that I had to put up for a collateralized line of credit. So with that $32,500, I had to pay about $8,000 in total to buy this house, right? So now I paid $8,000 to buy this house, and I took a mortgage out on it, which my mortgage was about $400, right? That first house, it took 7 days from the day I bought it to me being able to do the things I wanted to do, which was very minute, to make a higher appraisal on that house. So when you buy a house, you get an appraisal on the house, right? And then they say, okay, well, they usually price it exactly what you bought it for. So when I bought it for $32,500. They said it was worth $32,500. I went in and I just did some paint, put a new floor down. I spent about $2,000 on it, right? I had an appraiser come back in. They appraised it now after 7 days, very minimal work, $65,000. So instantly, I only had $35,000 wrapped up into this property. I have $30,000 in equity, what we talked about earlier, right? That virtual money. So I had $30,000 in equity. From there, I took out some equity from that property, the $30,000, and bought another property. And that's kind of how I was able to level up. But real estate is not hard to get into. It's not like you need a whole bunch of money. You just got to make sure you do your research, and you make money on the buy. You never make money on the sale. When you see something that nobody else sees, whether it's an additional bedroom, if you have contractors or people that you know that can do quality work for a cheaper price, all of those things factor into, does it make sense? You never fall in love with the house. You fall in love with the deal based off numbers. So if you listen to Bigger Pockets, it took me about 7 months to listen to Bigger Pocket before I went and bought my first property. Okay, let me see. There's a couple other questions that I see, and I hope that answers your question. If it didn't, you can put another question in, and I'll make sure I answer it more thoroughly for you. Stressful, do you keep pushing? Is it hard working with kids that had bad homes and whatnot? It's not hard working, and the question, sorry, I'll repeat it. Is it hard working with kids that had bad homes and whatnot? No. I mean, simple and plain, no. And I think a lot of it was me growing up in a home that wasn't always the best home, right? And understanding, back to what I said, as far as words have power. So don't claim that you live in a bad home. Don't claim that you're an at-risk kid. Don't claim that you're not smart. Don't claim that you can't be successful. You claim that you can be successful. You claim that you are smart. You claim that you have individuals that will help you get to where you want to go. Your mindset is key. That's the biggest thing. So me being able to connect with kids, it's not hard at all. First of all, I have 4 children. Second of all, I'm a big kid, and I simply go off of basic things. I try to do what's right at all times, no matter what. And when you get in positions like the CEO or executive director or in leadership positions in these organizations, there's a lot of individuals that will try to push you to do something that you don't feel is right. And with me being a God-fearing man, I always just try to do what's right. If it's not right, I try not to do it. And if I have to face consequences, whether it's me losing my job or me, having a bad rep because I'm not following after everybody else, I try to just simply pray about situations before I do them and do what I believe is right. And like I said, being a big kid myself, I have no problem engaging. I mean, my best part of the job was the 100 Black Men of Omaha, and anybody who knows that what I do with the 100, they know is when I go to our programming and I get to high five our kids that are in the 3rd grade at Saturday Academy, or if I'm playing basketball and I make a 3 on one of our high school, basketball players, those are the things I enjoy engaging in, because you never know what positive seconds that you put into people's lives could be those positive seconds that really gives them the detour they need to be successful. And I may not feel that joy until 20 years from now, where a youth will come to me and say, Mr. Webb, the 100 helped us out so much. Just because you had a positive light, I was able to do this. And it's not saying that I'm responsible for anybody's growth, but if I can be just a small shimmer of light to help them realize that nobody controls your destiny but you, I'm happy with those results. What do you think is the right way to change your life? I mean, we kind of talked about it when it comes to your mindset. I mean, there's nothing more powerful than your mindset to change your life. You control it. Nobody else can force you to do anything. Peer pressure can be very hard, but you have to understand that you have to make the mindset that you want to be successful. And you have to not let fear stop you from asking people questions to help you. And I think that's the biggest thing. Make sure you know that. What is your proudest accomplishment and how did you reach it? Ooh, that's kind of a deeper one. What is my most proudest accomplishment? I think just being a husband and a man of God is probably my most proudest accomplishment. As a young man, I was literally a hothead. I literally didn't always make the right choices, but being married at a young age and finding God more than anything. But being married at a young age, I had a wife that could have, kicked me to the curb. My wife is 5 years older than I am, and she could have said, "You ain't making no money, you ain't supporting." But she didn't do that. She believed in me, and I really give her a lot of credit for our growth as a married couple. And I always believe that a man that findeth the rib findeth a great thing. So I'll say my major accomplishment that I'm most proud of is just being a husband and being a man of God, because I believe that those have really grounded me and really had me focus on a foundation that I can pass down to the next generation of my family. Make sure the step up interns understand terminology. I'm not sure they understand all the real estate terms. Oh, that was Carl, sorry. Is there anything specifically you were saying on that one?
No, just a lot of the terminology, I don't know. I don't, once you get passionate, I was talking about the appraisals, the equity, and I mean, just get the flowing for someone who asks how to start that is in high school.
Yeah, okay. So I'll explain a couple of those terminologies, and then if there's any questions more about it, you guys can type them in or, take your phone off mute, and I'd be more than happy to explain those. But for appraisal of the house is essentially the value of the house. So, when we say value, this piece of candy cost me 5 cents. Somebody valued this piece of candy at 5 cents and people are willing to pay for it, right? So when you look at appraisals, their thought process is how much do you think if this house had to sell today, somebody would pay for it based on factors such as the neighborhood it's in, the condition it's in, what's new on the property, all of those different things factor into what an appraisal is. The second thing you had talked about is equity. I think I explained that one a little bit, but the equity is the value that you have in that house. Or if it's a business, how much you owe versus how much it's worth, right? So if you start a business, so Huskerland Popcorn, he started that business. He knows that he has $100,000 in, and I'm just using these numbers, I'm not saying specifically, but he may know he has $100,000 in debt. So going into, a lot of people be like, I'm not about to go into $100,000 in debt, especially when I make $70,000 a year in my corporate job. I ain't got to worry about it. But Huskerland can make $250,000 a year. So essentially he has $150,000 in equity a year that he can make off of that debt if he continues the track that he's on with Huskerland. So that's where that equity into a property or equity into a business. And everybody has equity. Like say, for instance, each one of you on this phone call, there's a such thing as brand equity, right? So this is where it's important as you're going through this to go back to our 3 steps, right? Don't let fear stop you. Make sure you show up, right? And then work your passion and serve, because each one of you represent a brand, right? Kevin is Kevin regardless. And if any of you guys know Kevin, he's very positive, right? And he has always worked on that brand so that he can impact each one of you all, so that you would feel comfortable coming and talking to Kevin about any situation, right? But that's a brand that it has created, right? That we're not too big for you to be able to come and talk to us about any situation. And if we can't personally help you, we will try to align you with whoever is that we know in our network that can help you. And you as youth right now, you are your own brand. Christina, you are your own brand, right? So if people know you as a hard worker when you go to the job site, when you graduate high school, guess how easy it's gonna be for you to get a job? You go to Carl and say, Carl, I need a letter of recommendation, because we know that every time you showed up, you were great, you were positive, you had a smile, you were ready to work. You showed those different things. Oh, how easy it is for me to hire you. And those are simple things that I look for when I'm hiring people, right? Whether it's for my construction job with my properties, I'm not about to have somebody working that's not on the same mindset that I'm in. I'm not gonna have somebody working at the 100 that comes in and says, oh, these kids are just bad. We just need to give them, we just need to do these to these kids. We need to just pick this kid and not that kid, not that kid. No, every kid has an opportunity. It's a mindset that we have to shift. And as adults, we've learned these things through our experiences, and that's what shaped the brand that we have. So brands have equity too. So make sure that everything that you do, you're always sowing positive seeds into your brand, because it's equity that you will need in the future. Was there any other questions I missed, Carl?
I have one.
Go ahead.
So I'm just wondering because to me it's more of thing that is really rooted to me and stuff. But for 400 black men, do you support like different different kind of people? So like if they was Jewish or if they was, I don't know, LGBT or something like that, do they support that regardless or?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, from my perspective as a CEO and from our board, we support all children, all youth, all individuals that want to be engaged with the 100 Black Men of Omaha in a mentoring or in our mentee program, all of those different programs. We do not discriminate against anybody, specifically myself. I mean, what our mission is to improve the quality of life in Omaha by helping our youth to be respectful, responsible, and ready to lead. So nowhere does it leave anybody out. So for like, say for instance, for our mentoring, because we do one-on-one community-based mentoring, we don't have young ladies in our program once it gets to one mentors, because we have we recruit African-American mentors to engage with our youth, our young men, specifically because our motto is what they see is what they'll be, and they may not always see positive African-American men. So we want to make sure that we do have those individuals in front of them. But as far as do we discriminate against anybody being engaged, involved? No. Does that answer? Do you want me to explain some more?
That answers my question.
No problem. So if you want to be involved with us, you let us know. We make sure we'll help out there. All right.
All right.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
One of the things that Mr. Richard was talking about was showing up. If you have a question, make sure that you're asking it. Takes a lot of courage, I get it, but now you have individuals who are taking a time out of their days, their busy days, to come online and spend time with you. We want to make sure that you're taking advantage of that time if you do have a question.
And don't forget, there's never a bad question. I mean, we're all fearful of a lot of different things, but even the simplest question could engage people to think more thoroughly about everything.
Okay.
And I know somebody just said, I want to get involved. How would I do that? You can definitely, Carl, I'm not sure if you can share my information, but I can provide my email and our phone number. You can go to our website, 100blackmenomaha.org. We are on social media also, so Facebook, you can message us, and we can have Mr. Malik Parker reach out to you if you want to get engaged with a mentor. I know we have our Real Talk streaming from our platform, our Facebook Live platform on Saturday. I believe that starts at 11:30. So there's a lot of different ways to get engaged and involved. And Monique and Carl and Kevin, I think everybody in here has my contact information. I put on my pants just like everybody else, so I'm reachable just like anybody else should be. So I'm more than happy anytime to engage with our Youth with Promise, especially if I can sow a seed in your life that can help you to be motivated to attain success. So I think that was Warren who asked that.
Yeah, Mr. Sharp.
And Dasani, any ways I can be of assistance, please reach out to me. And of course, right now with the COVID, we can't really do a lot of our real talks in person, where we have 30 to 50 individuals between mentors and mentees every second and fourth Saturday, but a lot of that is being streamed on our Facebook Live platform. And then what's your motivation to keep going? Fear that I don't do enough. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I can literally speak. I didn't see any other adults, but I can literally speak to Monique, Carl, and Kevin, and understand that I think their hearts are just as pure as mine to want to help you all. how do I politically say this correctly? You know, some individuals are, you know, they seem like they want to help a lot, specifically in our community. And sometimes they throw you for loops. It looks like they are wanting to help, but they're not always there to help. And sometimes you don't see them helping when they should be helping. But I believe the three individuals that I just mentioned on this phone call, I've seen them personally engage with a lot of different opportunities to help our kids in our community and be at the table to advocate for each and every one of you all. Specifically, if you guys are at the table to advocate for yourself. So that literally for me is a fear that, you know, can I do enough? Like prime example, I come into the office almost every day. My wife hates it. But for me, I know that, you know, once again, I got 5 salaries underneath me that have to make sure that money comes in so that they can support their family, and they're not heavily impacted more than everybody else is impacted. And then, like I said, if we stop doing what we're doing, what about if a mentee needs help? What if I get a phone call at the office of a mentee who, before, I'll give you a prime example, last week I had to drive to Waterloo, Iowa. One of our mentees is there, and his grandmother, his mom and dad, his dad is dead, his mom's in jail, and his grandmother is disabled, so she has no legs at all. And you know, they were stuck out there, and COVID has hit them hard. They didn't have any food, they didn't have cleaning supplies, they didn't have anything, and he was really struggling because they live in kind of a rural area, remote area. So I packed up some stuff and drove it out there just to make sure they're supporting. If I wasn't here, you know, who knows, maybe another opportunity would have knocked on their door and helped them out. But, you know, those are the things that make me most proud, where not Richard Webb helping, but the 100 Black Man of Omaha is helping those individuals. And we don't need to go out and put it on social media, do none of that. It's just doing the right things. I believe those seeds that you sow really will grow into a great harvest if you just continuously do that. So my fear is just always never doing enough, never engaging enough to make a difference and to motivate you all to be great. Surprised Monique wasn't drilling me with no questions. She usually try to drill me.
Nah, we friends. I want them to know we friends. I do, you know, I think one of the things that we did ask Brandon earlier, he, of course, is more retail oriented, but we have talked about you being a Step Up host site as well. And I think one of the things that I want all of our young people to understand is just what we're all looking for, you know, as leaders in the community, when we're looking to hire, when we're looking to promote, when we're looking for a second chance.
You broke up, Monique, real bad. I can't hear nothing you're saying. Carl, can you hear her?
No. Kevin, you can hear?
No, but yeah, you know, while she coming back, Richard, basically, yeah, when our interns are gonna come to you, how do they have to come? What are you looking for them to be productive and for your organization to keep running it is?
Yep, I think the biggest thing for the 100 Black Men of Omaha is the ability to just come in, understand your value already, right? As a youth, you have a different mindset, and to trust your mindset, right? A lot of times in our community, we have mindsets that, okay, the adults make the rules for the kids, right? Not understanding that if you allow a kid to understand what's going on, they could be just as beneficial as your CEO with a thought and an opinion that they may have. And they may not be confident enough to say what could be the life-saving innovation, right? Like, I guarantee you, the next wave of whatever this is going to look like for us is going to come from a youth. They're going to say something to one of these executive directors or something to say, you know what? Kahoot is the way to go when you're engaged in the surveys. Now, you guys probably know Willie Barney, or I'm sure you probably all know the CEO or executive director for Empowerment Network. Every one of his monthly meetings, he has these little survey things he hands out, right? Well, for the youth, it might be Kahoot that we use them for, right? And we got that mindset from one of you. So I think the biggest thing you can come into any organization is know your value, be confident in what you say, specifically if you've done a little bit of research on whatever this business is, right? So for the 100, we serve youth. So when you're at that table and you're hearing something and you believe it may be something that we want to try differently, be confident in speaking up. Even if it's not right, we'll talk through it. That could make somebody else think of another situation, and you've been able to knock out an obstacle before it came in. The second thing is make sure that you show up on time, right? When you come to a job, you have to be there on time. You have to. And if you're on time, you late. Try to get there 10 minutes early. And a lot of times when I was a young kid, I'm sure you all deal with the youth also, if you don't have a car, you don't come to your person who's gonna take you, right? 10 minutes before you gotta be there and say, don't forget I gotta be at work at 3 o'clock, it's 2:50. No, take some initiative and know, I wanna talk to you at 1 o'clock. If I gotta be there at 3 o'clock, I'm gonna remind you, hey, I just wanna make sure you know, I take my job serious. I know I'm getting paid. I wanna make sure I set a good record because my brand is my equity that I might need to tap in later on, all of those different things, and just say, hey, can we get there by 2:45? I gotta be there at 3. So, you know, all of those different things that I look at, an initiative to just go and get it done. If somebody tells you to, you know, simple, like if you're at Huskerland and they tell you to go wash the dishes, you know, don't just go through them, just, you know, like make sure that how they're supposed to be, right? Because everything that you touch, everything that you do adds to your brand. So if I know that, who can I say? Michael is gonna come in and do great work. I'm probably gonna give Michael additional duties. And then after this step up is over with, you know what? Even if they're not paying you, no, I'm gonna pay you because I know what you do and I know the work that you do. Does that kind of tie into it a little bit?
I would say so, definitely.
What would you say leaders look for when, okay, we know that, wish my mom could hear this. Is Corona affecting real estate badly? It is. And what's crazy is, so the question was, is Corona affecting real estate badly? It's affecting everybody. My wife and I, we just put our house up for sale. We have a beautiful house and we had one showing in 7 days. Houses in our neighborhood typically sell in 6 hours. And on the other side of that, we have our rental properties. And you think about it, I think the last number I just checked, 26 million Americans have filed for unemployment, right? So if you think about what a lot of people are saying, they probably can't pay rent. And, you know, there's a lot of people advocating, well, landlords should not accept payment. They should just let the tenant not pay rent, right? But it's a domino effect for everything, right? Because if a tenant don't pay the rent, right, the owner can't pay the mortgage. And so the challenge is that the tenant's not paying the rent and the owner doesn't have money set aside to pay the mortgage. Banks don't care about you not being able to pay your mortgage. You know what I mean? It's literally a grimy world, right? So they don't care. They got all this money, but they don't care about you not being able to pay your mortgage. So it's hard for a lot of landlords to go in and say, you don't have to pay your rent. And I think they said 73% of individuals around the world or around the United States didn't pay their rent on time, April 5th. So for the month of April, 73% of people didn't pay their rent by the 5th. And let's just say just that small thing right there, right? So if I don't pay in all our properties, if we don't pay the mortgage by the 5th, on the 6th, we got a late charge, $75 already on the 6th. So imagine 73% of individuals didn't pay their mortgage. Let's just say half of those individuals, right, the owners, so we say 73%, let's just say 36% of those individuals who are the owners didn't have the money to pay their mortgage. 36% of the United States population got a $75 charge. Let's just say it's $75. Think about how much money the banks just made off of that. And then it could go into foreclosure if you didn't pay that. So it's a domino effect that's just affecting everybody. And the real estate is taking a hit right now because less people are buying homes, less people are able to afford them if they're renting. So yes, it is. Jasmine, we have a paper like, okay, I have to go to work. My car on Mr.
You don't gotta read.
That ain't for you.
No, I was just trying to see if any questions was in there. I just want to make sure I'm answering the questions. All right.
With that said, Brother Richard, you got any closing thoughts?
I mean, I think it just goes back, Kevin, to what I said. That if you take nothing from this presentation, take the 3 points. Say yes. Don't let fear stop you from getting to success, right? Show up. When you say yes, you have to show up and be at your best, because that's your brand equity. And number 3, make sure that you're linking your passion to what you do. Because if you're not passionate about it, there's no way you're going to show up and be happy every day. I love what I do here for the 100. I love being able to inspire our youth with promise. I love being able to give every ounce of me to help each one of you all to be great. And if I didn't, times like this, where all of our programs, in-person programs, has to shut down, especially since I'm so much of an extroverted individual that I love engaging with our community, and I can't do that, it's hard, right? But because I love what I do, we are doing Kahoots. We are doing innovative things. We are doing Zooms with 70 people to still make sure that we're impacting all of you and giving you all something productive to do as we all get through this together.
Well, there is one benefit, and I'm gonna let you go. You don't have to stick me in the mornings at the gym, so be happy about that.
Carl, I think the last time we played, you came out your shoes, didn't you?
Oh, I was tired of killing people. Thank you, Rich, for hopping on today, man. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me.
Thanks so much.
And thank all the youth on here for being great. Just keep on being great. We're gonna get through this together.
You had about 60 of them today, so.
Man. Anything else y'all need from me, or I'm good to hop off now?
Good to hop off.
All right, y'all take it easy now.
Here, you too.
Peace.
All right, to all my youth, I don't know if I can do this as a question or what. I'm curious how everyone's being affected by COVID. And
well, I can't come back to Omaha.
What was that?
I said I can't come back to Omaha.
You cannot come back to Omaha.
Yeah, my mom said that because I got real bad asthma and stuff, that I can get affected the worst. So she told me that I couldn't come back yet.
Well, thank you for really even getting on the call. Wow.
My aunt passed from the COVID.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that.
It's all right.
Thank y'all.
Hello? Now, the difficult part about this is we have a lot of people on here.
So the best way is
I didn't know from my mother for the summer.
Sydney.
Yeah, I need to call you.
Sydney, I think, was trying to say something, but the audio.
Thank you.
Everybody's audio is like going crazy.
Yeah.
If people do you guys see the option to raise your hands on your?
We did that in one of my breakouts earlier.
Yeah, it showed up.
Okay. Hands. I couldn't see it.
Yeah, so I can see it in the participants chat. So if people have a comment that they would like to make about how COVID is affecting them, you can either type it in the chat or you can raise your hand and we'll call on you. because it looks like people were able to raise their hand because a couple people did it. So just raise your hand and then I can go ahead and unmute you and we'll call on you. Okay, so Claude, you said it's affecting you. How's it affecting you?
Because it's not really much of just being stuck in the house just all the time, but it's really more of like people not seeing my hopeless and stuff that I can't help them because of what's going on. And the more I'm stuck in the house, the more I feel like I would say depressed or sad, but like just more of worried. So in a way, that's how I feel like it's affecting me, and it's also affecting me because I want school to get back in. You know, I feel a little bit bored at home, so you know.
We hear you, Claude.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Jada.
Well, I put a comment, but it's like I haven't had anybody greatly affected by the virus. Like nobody has died around me or nothing like that, but have to be careful now about where I go, what I do. There really isn't much to do either because I can't leave the house. So can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
There's some comments in the chat. Someone did say that it's not really affecting them. They're out all the time, but they do know it's serious. Some individuals say it's affecting them. Some like being home, but now that they're forced to stay in, they want to go out. I think that's kind of a common thing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do. They're stuck in the house. Used to staying in the house, but miss the homies. Too stressful sitting at home all day. Just started a new school, not familiar with anything at that new school. And then summer internships are getting canceled. Not really affecting them, but summer sports or sports definitely have been canceled. Just staying inside.
Oh, wait.
Prom, of course, was a big one. And I'm so sorry for all of the seniors and those juniors and seniors who were looking forward to going to prom.
Absolutely.
And now it's switched to virtual prom. And missing shopping. So.
And I also want everybody to understand, not just you, we're affected also. Just because we're adults doesn't mean we're going through ups and downs with it. To spend a little bit of light, I've seen one or two things that were just kind of positive to me within the midst of all of this. I was out riding, and you guys remember the day that we had all the snow. I saw a family, or actually a dad and his boys out on, I forgot what school they were at, and they were sledding. And I had to catch myself, like, wow, that's kind of cool. They're at home, but you know, you do have a few families that are spending more time together. You have a few, just a lot more connections sometimes at home that a lot of us have been missing for a while. So yes, there are some negative effects, and it's hard to see positive. And I'm glad that we have everybody adhering, staying safe. This is really serious, but I just want to put that little bit of a spin on it. That was just kind of cool for me to see when I really wasn't looking for anything positive out of it.
Yeah, I do think we're gonna.
I feel bad. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I feel bad for those who have to take the ACT and the SAT because they really worked hard up to that point to actually get to that point in their life to actually, you know, try to go to college and try to feel, and they accomplish so much to where like that's probably gonna be snatched away from them.
Yeah, there's definitely, you know, a lot of challenges, and we'll have a new normal after this. You know, a lot of you, I know some of you mentioned that you're struggling with like the schoolwork and things of that nature. Some people have mentioned what is Step Up going to look like. We are currently, you know, having to pivot as well and build online curriculums for you guys to be able to do that. There's a lot of change, and Mr. Richard alluded to it, that there's going to be a new normal that we have when this is all said and done. And we don't know what that's going to look like, but that you all are individuals who can help us with that. And so keep asking questions, keep challenging us adults, keep, you know, telling us what your challenges are so that you can hold us accountable, as we talked about earlier today, you know, when it came to Mr. Lewis as well. So, you know, again, everything that we're doing now while we're sitting in the house, like start to create some things, ask some questions, read up on stuff. Maybe you don't have a lot of schoolwork in the particular classes that you're in. Like think about how you can, you know, make an impact in that area, study some things. Whatever the case is, looks like Tayana had raised her hand as well. So I want to make sure that I unmute and give her opportunity to say something in that case if she saw something to say.
I was saying that the COVID-19 affected me by school, because like I'm not used to just doing all my classes work online, and it's like it's harder.
Yeah, definitely harder. And we hope that, you know, if we have to continue this way, that as adults, we'll all get it right for you guys and have, you know, the online classes. We know they're harder, but just having those forums available for you, that's why we did Zoom today, you know, for us to get used to these types of formats, because we might be in this space for a while, where this might be the way that we have to learn and work together as a professional. All of us coaches that are on the calls and things, I spend the majority of my day on Zoom calls right now. I would say 50 to 75% of my day, honestly, is in meetings on Zoom calls. So, you know, the fact that you guys were able to download it and to get on and you've been engaged, and we know it's tough to sit here and listen to people and things like that, but I just have to say kudos to the majority of you. You've done a great job today. You know, with these 2 sessions, that's a long time to be on a call for 2 hours each session. So great job. Kudos to you. And again, make sure you let us know how we can help, whatever it is that we can do to make this better for you, whether that is, like Mr. Richard says, dropping off food, connecting you with food sources. We mentioned it on the last call. We're here to get you connected up with resources. We have things on our website with the Empowerment Network's website, empoweromaha.com. But most importantly, you have access to the coaches. Please reach out to us, text us, call us, and let us know I'm struggling, whatever that might be. Whether it's food, it's mental illness, it's somebody in your family is struggling, they need to hear something, they need a message, they need to be picked up, like as far as a pick-me-up and a little encouraging message, then definitely let us know how we can help.
Jalen had a question. Jalen Prince.
Okay, Jalen. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. So like I might be going down to Kansas City for the summer, but I wanted to know if I could still do like the Step Up program like online if we're going back into sessions. So like if we go back into like meeting each other in person.
How old are you?
I'm 15. Oh, I'll turn 16 August 8th, but
So you've been in the 15 program. You know what's so interesting about that question is how normally the answer is, you know, no. But
I'm sorry.
You're asking about, hey, we're gonna be online. I can do it from where I'm at, you know, and earlier when Reginae had talked about not being here locally, it just makes me really think about that's something that I have to consider. The fact that you brought it up and were courageous enough to ask will definitely allow me to consider allowing you to be in with that type of mindset, for real, because that's what it's going to take for us to move forward, and that's how we want you guys to be thinking. I still want my opportunity, so let me speak up and let me ask, and not I don't want to just assume that this opportunity can't be for me because I might be in KC, right? Normally the answer would be no, because you physically aren't here, but I actually have to consider that this time.
Okay, thank you.
Will the COVID-19 like risk people's chances of being in a summer program?
Great question. I think that was Tayana that spoke up about that. So we are looking to still take the same number that we were planning to take. Of course, it's going to look different with the 14, 15-year-olds being online for the summer, doing similar formats. Again, we are going to have more activities for you guys and have Google Classroom set up, so you will have assignments to turn in. You'll do group activities and all of that. It's just going to be online, which I think will give you a head start to what school might look like for you at the beginning of the school year, if we're not able to physically go back to classrooms and school buildings when school starts. But nevertheless, the numbers wise, we are trying to keep the numbers the same. We may reduce the program by a week because we have to get prepared even more and have a few more training sessions and things of that nature with you, your parents, as well as our staff members that come on in the summer. So that might change a little bit, but outside of that, 16 and up, it is a challenge because we have a lot of employers who are working from home, so they're not able to take as many young people as they could in the years past. But we're trying to be extremely creative and do the best that we can to say that we will still be able to keep the integrity of the program, the meaningfulness of the program, and the numbers of the program intact. So that is our goal right now. Warren or Dasani, I hope Corona goes away really quickly too. Looks like Sydney had a question as well. Sydney, you want to try to ask your question?
So,
Sydney, we can't hear you. Turn off your video and see if that makes your sound quality. Or type it in the chat.
So we're going over to my mother's for the summer.
Yeah, I couldn't hear.
What?
Your voice quality is really, we can't hear you, Sydney, so you might have to type it in the chat.
Hey, also, to all the interns, with the amount of time that you're spending at home, and we're talking about things like you're getting your online assignments and things done, try to take this time to step outside of the box a little bit. As I'm sitting here thinking, you have access, will somewhat have access to more people because there are more people home. So if you're on social media and there's a career interest that you see people from the community, that you shoot them an inbox. Hey, I'm really interested in this. If you ever get some time to reach out back to me, I'd really enjoy it. You can also show your brand now, and online is the way a lot of things are going. And you never know right now because a lot more individuals are at home that may be in fields that you want to know about. So, I mean, if you have your Facebook, your LinkedIn, and I'm not saying get on here and stalk anyone, but, there may be opportunities that you can even create for yourself, or just there's a lot of knowledge that you can get on and learn. For everybody who has membership to the public library, there's a site called lynda.com, Lynda, and it's a lot of industry professionals and professors and teachers in like the tech world that if you have a public library membership, you can get access to a lot of tutorials, live videos, and not live, but videos about things from social media marketing, to learning about Photoshop. I mean, it's just a lot. I'm gonna put it in a chat, and if you have questions, you can ask me more about it. But it's called lynda.com, Lynda. If you get a chance to go and just kind of browse through and see the type of information, you'll really be surprised in things that you can improve or learn yourself to enhance your skills.
All right. Well, sounds like it sounds like most of you, either are kind of figuring it out. You're asking great questions, so keep those things coming. But as far as I go, I don't have anything else. I don't know if any of the other coaches have anything else.
I do not. I appreciate y'all, and y'all hear it, and I'm gonna say it. Just keep your head up. Keep expanding what you know, and as Mr. Richard and a lot of everybody else has said, continue to stay positive.
Yeah, the only thing that I would offer is, again, thanks and gratitude for you guys being engaged today. Be honest with your feedback about how this went, because a lot of what we experienced today and what we learned today is going to be used to help shape the summer program. And so we really need you to be honest. What elements about this did you like? What didn't you like? Because that, imagine you had to do this today, but imagine having to do this every day, Monday through Friday, in order to get your check. And so we really need to understand whether or not this is going to work, because it has to be something that you're going to continue to be engaged in and be involved in. And we can't figure that out by ourselves, but we need you to help us figure out how to make those adjustments so that it's an experience that is actually meaningful for you. But I'm proud of you guys and thankful for the opportunity to have been a part of this today, and hope that you continue to just take advantage of every opportunity that you have, even this opportunity to kind of slow down a little bit and to be creative and to learn some new things. You have a lot more potential than what you know. And this is an opportunity for you to be able to get to know yourself and what you want a little bit better, and to really solidify the plans that you need to get you there. So proud of you guys. Thanks for being on today.
Absolutely.
Especially you, Lakira.
You're welcome.
All right, so we're gonna have you all start. Carl, did you have anything? Krishanda, did you have anything before we wrap up?
Nope. For my interns, I'm still waiting on the rest of those emails. I've only received about 5 so far. So I will be looking out for the rest of the emails. But otherwise, you guys stay safe and stay healthy.
All right, and make sure you enter clock out into the chat like we did this morning. And that will be your way that we know that you were here. For all of you who were here, you do not have to do any special assignments. That'll be left up for the others that did not attend live today. So you are good to go to get credit for your meeting times that you came.
We can leave now.
Yes, you can.
See you guys later.
Take care, everybody. Be safe.
Y'all be easy on that.
Okay. Coming through with the music. Is that some Rod Wave there?
I can't believe there was that many people on there. Stay safe.
Bye, Jason.
Like the kicks on my feet, haters hope they squeak. Rolling deep with the boys, soaking the police.
Y'all got him.
Say that you can die facts. It's all home motor like it's Bobby
Hey, Carl, dance, Carl. That is funny. And you're still streaming to YouTube.
Yeah. That's classic footage.
No, I was like, I'm still streaming and everything.